guys, welcome to the Homestead. So today we're going to talk about sheep and goats. If you've been on my channel before, you know and understand how I feel about this topic. This is not a topic that I'm shy about. I have some experience with this, and I give you my opinion, just my opinion. And for the most part, it seems like many people over time, through experience, understand my wisdom. Because experience is the great teacher. Experience. Okay, so the other day, some friends, before I get into this, I'm going to be at the Self-Reliance Festival coming up in Camden, Tennessee. That is October 6th. That's a Sunday. I will be there on Sunday. It's a 2-day festival. I'll be there on Sunday, and I'll be speaking there. I'll have a booth there. Come out and see me if you're in the Nashville, Camden area-ish, around that area. I'd love to come out. I'd love for you to come out and see me. There's going to be a lot of great speakers: Jack Spirko, Bear Independent, Angry Prepper, lots of people you probably watch on YouTube. And so come on out. Come on out, and there'll be a link below. You can check out that information and come out and see me in Camden, Tennessee. All right, now let's get into this topic. So over at Twitter, there was this post put up by the Black Marsh Homestead. They're a family from Croatia. And I follow them on Twitter. I enjoy some of the postings. They talk about, they show a lot of good things that they're doing as a family, as a homesteading family. And I have learned some things, so I follow them. Anyway, he put up a post. He's kind of like this Viking looking guy. And it's a great couple and great family. And so they post a lot of cool stuff. Anyway, he's a Viking looking guy. And he's like, are you a sheep or a goat person? Are you a sheep or a goat person? And he is a sheep person. Again, he has experience with both, but he goes into detail and he asks some questions and gives some ideas on why he's a sheep person over a goat person. So let's go over that today and talk about that, because there's a lot of people out there, I know, you love your goats. You love your goats. It's like, I love, you're a glutton for punishment. That's what you are. Okay. Many people have asked us why we prefer sheep to goats. My usual response to this question is, how much time do you got? But I'll try to give you a short list of the main reasons why we've sold our goats and decided to focus on sheep. Number one, sheep are resistant to cold and humid weather and don't require any man-made shelter. A small grove for shade in the summer and to shield young lambs from winter storms is all they need. Now, there's some things I'm going to agree with on this list, and some things I'm going to be like, okay, maybe that's probably breed specific or area specific. I think that there are goat breeds out there, I know, that can weather themselves just fine out there in the wilderness. So that may be specific for him where he lives. It may be specific about what breed of sheep and goats that he has experience with. Leave a comment below and let me know what you think on that. That's my opinion. Based on my experience with sheep and goats, that's my opinion. All right, number 2. Sheep produce wool, and my wife loves to knit, crochet, and felt. So, in my experience, the sheep that we grew, the sheep that we raised, were wool sheep. They were the Shropshire, Hampshire breed type sheep. And they're a commercial breed sheep, and they require drugs to keep alive. And not only that, because I like the more natural way of raising animals. I don't want to raise them with drugs if it has to be there in order to keep them alive because of parasites and all kinds of other things. But the other thing, when it comes to shearing the wool, it's an art form. In order to be able to shear that sheep, it requires a lot of good experience to do that. It's not something, it's a science. It's not something you can just read a book or maybe gain a little bit of experience. It takes years to get good at it. And that's why there are people, companies out there where you can hire them to come in and they will shear your flock for you. And you pay them. And the reason why a lot of people do that is because they find that the wool is very desirable. When we were raising those Shropshires and Hampshire type breeds of sheep, the wool, when we put that up for sale on the internet, it's sold like that. People are always wanting to pay for it. So if you're good at shearing sheep, you're always going to have a product to sell when it comes to wool, because there's so many people out there who want to buy it for so many different reasons. Not just for making clothes and things like that, but lots of reasons. So anyway, there's a lot of good stuff out there about that, and you can do your own research. But I'm just telling you from my experience, to shear sheep, takes a lot of practice to get good at. And if you're not good at it, chances are you might be hurting your sheep. We did. We hurt our sheep, and I didn't want to deal with that anymore, so now we raise hair sheep. We'll get to that later. Okay, sheep produce, number three, sheep produce more fat, and fat is precious to the self-sufficient farmer. Now, I think this is probably true. I also think it can be dependent on diet for those animals. And again, breeds, some breeds produce more, some breeds produce less. So, leave your own comments on this below. But our sheep produce a good amount of fat. I love the taste of our sheep. We'll get into that in a second also. So I know my sheep produce a good amount of lanolin on their skin, which can also be used and harvested for a lot of great purposes. Mostly we have hair sheep. It's the St. Croix. And I like that breed of sheep because they are very tolerant to our climate. Let's get into number 4. Sheep are better grazers. Sheep are better grazers, which makes them more suited to rotational grazing systems. This is true. If you have a lot of pasture, we have some pastures on our area. We have some pasture down there. But we also have a lot of woods. And as I was coming up here, my sheep were down in the woods across the pasture over there, and they were grazing down in the woods. They will do both, but sheep, for the most part, like pastures. And if you have pastures, sheep are going to be a good fit for you. If you don't have any pastures, goats can be absolutely fantastic. That's probably the only reason why I would recommend goats to people. Goats are fantastic for woodlands. I know people, there's some neighbors down the road here. They have goats, and their forests look amazing because they keep their forest completely clear of any vegetation wherever they can reach. They'll get up on their hind legs and get to things, and they'll chew everything down, and their forest looks amazing. It looks like a park. So that would be the only recommendation. Other than that, there's no way I would recommend goats. Goats, I have often described as like drunk teenagers who have found the keys to daddy's liquor cabinet. That's my main thing with them. Goats are obstinate. They're rebellious. They will continue to test fence lines. The first time you go outside your front door and you see a goat standing on top of your car, it's over. I'm like, dude, I like my car. I don't want hoof prints and scratches from goats who try to think it's like a mountain to climb on. So no, I don't like goats on my car. And hey, if goats on your car is fine with you, then maybe you're a goat person. But see, goats on my car is not fine with me. I can't get over that. No, that's not going to happen. Number 5, sheep are more resistant to parasites. Again, this is going to be dependent on the breed and the environment in which you live. Where I live, sheep, the St. Croix, are very resistant to parasites in the ground. We have the Barbara pole worm in our grounds here. It's widely known. And if you get a sheep breed that the St. Croix are mainly from the Caribbean, that's why they're called the St. Croix. They come from the St. Croix Island, just like Jersey cows come from Jersey, in England, the Jersey Island. There are a number of these breeds who were developed in certain areas of the world long ago, and then they move and they take the name with them. So the St. Croix came here, and they're very good with heat tolerance. They're very good with the parasite loads that are in the ground here. But if you use Katahdin down south here, where it gets high heat, they don't do as well. That's what I have found. Now, Katahdin's up north, like Doug and Stacy, they're up in northern Missouri. They do fantastic up there. They have really good success, and lots of other people who have Katahdins up north. It just depends on where you live, on how they're going to handle that parasite load and some of the other things that are inside their environment. So just keep that in mind. Number 7, sheep are less destructive. Now this, hands down, is a true statement. I will tell this story. I've told it before. One year back when we had goats, I made a feeder for the goats, because you want to keep their hay off the ground. If you're going to feed them over the winter, you want to keep their hay off the ground because, again, we had that parasite load and we were losing some to sickness. And so you keep that hay off the ground. So I built a feeder, and I built it out of 2x4 construction. I built it out of hard wire and, it was really good construction, really sturdy and stable. And within a 24-hour period, ladies and gentlemen, They had that thing completely destroyed. They rammed it with their heads. They knocked it over. They jumped inside of it, pooped inside of it, banged around from the inside, crawled inside. They had that thing completely destroyed within a 24-hour period. Then I built a feeder for sheep. And do you know what they did with it? They ate out of it. Amazing. You build something that has a purpose, and they use it for the purpose of which it was built. That's sheep. Goats? Oh no. Again, they have found the keys to Daddy's liquor cabinet. They are a bunch of drunk teenagers. They get up every day and say, how can I kill myself today? Or how can I break something today? What can I break? That's a goat. So yeah, number 7, sheep are much less destructive. There's no, again, standing on top of my car, no bueno. Number 8, rams don't need to be castrated before slaughter to ensure optimal meat quality. I don't have really any experience with this, so you guys can leave your comments below. We don't castrate any of our animals here. Just don't feel a need to. And just listen, they're going to be food before they get to a point of high sexual maturity anyway. I got a number of rams down there in the pasture, and they're just now reaching sexual maturity, or maybe just recently did. And I'm going to be putting them in freezer camp here shortly because now it's getting close to fall. So they're all destined for freezer camp. Number 9, sheep milk tastes better, and it's not even close. This is absolutely true. If you have had goat's milk and you have had sheep's milk, completely different. I do not like goat's milk. I'm fine with sheep's milk. I've had it one time. It's fine. It's not that bad. It's very mild. But if you go to the store and you get cheese from sheep and cheese from goat, there is a distinct flavor. Now, I like goat's cheese and I like sheep's cheese, but I do not like goat's milk and I do not like sheep's milk. I'm sorry, I do like sheep's milk. I don't like goat's milk. My youngest son was raised on goat's milk, so I know how that tastes. And as a baby, you don't know the difference. I guess it doesn't make a difference. But babies being raised on goat's milk is really good. He wouldn't nurse when he was young, when he was a baby, so we used goat's milk instead to raise him. But I've had both, and it's not even close. It's not even close. Sheep's milk wins hands down. Goat's milk, I'm not about it, Goat itself has a distinct flavor as they get older. Listen, an older lamb, an older sheep, which is considered now mutton if it's a year and a half old, I can handle that meat. That meat's no problem. I can barely tell the difference. But you get a goat that's a year old, year and a half, 2 years old. Oh my goodness. Hello. There's a completely different flavor in the meat, in my opinion. I don't like it. It's not, I'll eat it. It's okay. You can make anything taste good. Enough seasoning and, butter on it. Butter's the key. But normally, no, I don't want it. All right. Number 10, sheep's milk is much denser, so milking takes less time. I don't have a lot of experience with this. I've never milked a lot of my sheep. I don't have milk sheep. I don't have the type of sheep that you milk. There are certain breeds out there that are better for this purpose. The St. Croix sheep that we have are good moms. For the most part, they have very little childbirth issues. We did introduce a Katahdin, part St. Croix into our herd a number of years ago, and it definitely set us back genetically. We experienced a number of problems because of introducing that Katahdin into our part Katahdin, part St. Croix into our herd. And from now on, I will only always use St. Croix and try to use full-blown St. Croix. They're a smaller sheep. They don't produce, they're a hair sheep, so they don't produce wool. And they're a smaller sheep, so they don't produce as much meat. However, they have a lot less problems. They don't have as many birthing issues. They don't have as many disease issues, pest issues, all these things. They have a lot less problems. So I like that. So here's how he finishes off. On top of all that, our region has an excellent heritage breed sheep. I think it's called the Saigai. I don't know how to pronounce that. He's in Croatia again. That is perfectly adapted to these humid lowlands. They require no nutritional supplements and whatsoever, not even salt, and can walk through heavy mud for months without developing hoof issues. We don't have any such goat breed. So people have asked me about hooves, and I tell people I don't trim my hooves. I haven't trimmed hooves in probably a number of years for the most part. Every once in a while, every blue moon. I think the last time we had a hoof issue was like 2 or 3 years ago. But we don't trim our hooves because we have a lot of rocks here. We're in the Ozarks, rocks everywhere, and so they're always walking on rocks. And then our driveway, which is a very steep driveway, they're going down there because we have pastures down our mountain, and they have to walk up that driveway, which is gravel and rocks. And so they trim their hooves themselves. So if you think about it, these animals don't need hoof care when they're in the wild. Why? Because they exist in places where there's lots of rocks, and they're walking on these things, and they're adapted to walking on these things, and they don't have to deal with the hoof issues because it trims the hooves for them. So if you're in a place where you don't have rocks and you're just going to be on pasture and soft ground, soft soil, you're going to have to deal with hoof care. It's just something you're going to have to deal with. But apparently this breed that he has does not have to deal with these things because it's just the way they naturally are in that environment. And maybe they have a softer hoof where they don't need to have rocks to trim them. Again, a lot of these breeds are dependent about the area of which they are raised in, which they are bred in, which they've been developed. I hope that makes sense. Fine. People ask, what breed do I need? What crops do I grow? What garden varieties do I grow? Grow what grows well in your area. And the way you find this out is by talking to people in your area and seeing what has always worked. What has always worked? Ask around. Find the people with gray hair who are old and who have lots of experience and wisdom, and ask them what you should do, because chances are they're going to give you the right answer. Okay. Don't get me wrong, for some farms, especially those in regions that boast good heritage goat breeds, goats can be the superior choice. Again, he's right on that. It just depends on where you are. After all, certain goat breeds can indeed compete with sheep in some of the areas I've listed, as we talked about. Still, I firmly believe sheep are the better option for most homesteaders in temperate and cold climates, particularly those who are seriously pursuing self-reliance. Now, again, we talked about this. If you're fine with going outside and seeing goats on top of your car, then okay, maybe you're a goat person. I'm not fine with that. I'm not fine with goats being destructive, with goats testing our fences and getting themselves wrapped up and killing themselves in the fences and, finding a rope somewhere and strangling itself somehow. How is that even possible? But they find a way to make it work. So if you're fine with all of that, if you're fine with the stress level in your life because of your animals being just elevated all of the time, then goats are for you. If that makes you thrive, then goats are for you. However, I like low maintenance. I like things to be just easygoing. I put up a fence. It can only be a 3-strand barbed wire fence, and the sheep will respect that 3-strand barbed wire fence. They won't go beyond it. They won't test it. They definitely won't kill themselves in it. I like low maintenance. I like low stress. I like things to just be even keel. How was the day today? I don't know. The sheep ate their grass and I got some stuff done, and in the middle, and at the end of the day, the sheep went right back into their corral because they know that's where they go. They know that's where they're supposed to be. They know that's where safety is. And so that's where they went, because I have them trained and trained well, and the sheep respond to the master's voice. The goats love to be obstinate. And this is why, if you read your Bible, at the end of the age, he separates the sheep from the goats. Yeah, some of you guys are goat people out there. I know you are. All right, what do you think? I'd love to hear your thoughts below. Before you go, please like this video so that lets YouTube know that people watch and enjoy my channel. If you know a sheep person, send them the video and see what they think. If you know a goat person who's adamantly loving their goats, send them this video and I'd love to know what they think. Share the video on social media. There's a lot of people out there who feel very strongly about these things, the sheep and the goats. I'd love to get their thoughts. And then, also it helps our channel out by sharing us out there and, helping the interaction, the algorithm with the comments and the likes and stuff like that. So I appreciate that. Hey, check out our merchandise over at teespring.com. You can find our Stupid Should Hurt shirt. If we had more hurt in this world, we'd have an awful lot less stupid. Apparently, if you like hurt in your world, you probably like goats. Hey, also don't forget, check me out at the Self-Reliance Festival, link in below. It's coming up beginning of October in Camden, Tennessee. I hope to see you out there. See you next time in the Homestead. Bye! One of the best perks about living off-grid is that I never pay an electric bill. I love being my own power company, but that means when things go wrong, I have to be the one on call. So I try and use reliable components for my power production. For the last couple of years, I have been promoting OUPES solar generators. I've been using them and abusing them, and as it turns out, they are pretty good products. They have power generators for all occasions, and they can be charged by permanent or portable solar panels, as well as AC power. They offer true lithium iron phosphate batteries, and this is important. Recently, a family in my area had a different brand that uses the less stable nickel manganese cobalt, or NMC type batteries. The unit caught fire in the middle of the night. It was a scary situation and it caused damage to the home, but thankfully nobody was hurt. The generator, as you can see, was a total loss. This drives home the point on why it's so important to employ solar generators like the OUPES brand that uses the much more safe and stable technology of lithium iron phosphate, otherwise called LiFePO4. They offer small generators for travel or for powering an entire home and everything in between. These are great backups to have in a medical emergency, or to power a freezer full of your favorite meat products, or as I have shown in past videos, for even backup AC and DC power sources for ham radio communications. If the grid goes down, you're going to be thankful you have one of these units. You can find the link in the description of this video, or click on the banner ad found on the front page of our website at AmericanHomestead.com. Right here, that banner ad right there on AmericanHomestead.com. Hey guys, did you know you can become a patron of an American Homestead? They get access to private videos, and we send them gifts from the homestead that we make here on the homestead. And we also enter our patrons into special giveaways that are only available to them. And before you go, please check out these other great videos. Go ahead, click. Oh wait.